Welcome back, class. We won't be back until sometime after Christmas. Dear Lily Pete, between one of the last 3 AM rambles and sans lessons, while as a content creator I wept, because the most I would be able to talk about is, well, quite frankly, not having anything to talk about. Young Zachary here is upset mostly because he's from Chicago, and some Canadian snowflake is trying to tell him about violence. So let me explain this to you, Lily. When Toon Critic is dealing with a cringy, mentally unstable fan, the correct legal answer, the safe answer that prevents lawsuits, is, of course violence is never the answer. While you're off talking about shooting Donald Trump canceled going to Chicago twice. That's Toon Critic's backyard, and that was for fear of Donald Trump's life. If I may be so bold to speak on Toon Critic's behalf, get on my level, bitch.
If you have an alternative solution, I'd love to hear it. Problem is, a lot of people don't. Whenever it's suggested that children deal with their bullies by getting physical, social media is full of cries of violence only begets more violence, and other similar platitudes that are easy to make when you're sat comfortably at home, privileged to not have to be around these kind of cretins.
I'm sorry, did we just talk about privilege? This is from the same person when his computer broke down. Lily Pete begged the internet to buy her a new one. Lily Pete would have you believe Toon Critic is sitting comfortably at home in bunny slippers and Power Rangers pajamas, sipping cocoa and quaintly vlogging about cartoons and talking about curing the world's evil with hugs, daintily raising a pinky and sipping his cocoa and getting a quaint little milk mustache. Lily, have you looked in a mirror lately? You are not a badass. You never were a badass. You never will be a badass. You'd be lucky to weigh 150 pounds sopping wet. A strong wind would likely knock you over. I'd sooner take aerobics advice from Movie Bob than had to handle a fist fight, much less murdering someone, from a girl who falls completely apart about a fight in her fucking comments section. Like, I want to be completely clear here. It's not as if Lily Pete's points are completely bad, but it's a terrible idea to tell desperate people killing someone is a viable option. Lily went on to talk about how cops in the military kill people all the time, and that typically doesn't make what people consider to be murderers. Number 1, the police and the military are trained and prepared for those situations, and times with lethal and non-lethal force is warranted. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes that goes wrong. Some might even argue to an unacceptable amount. But the point is, there's something behind that lethal intent other than one individual's moral outrage and impatience. Number 2, simply experiencing death, be it a loved one, a friend, or even a stranger, can be life-altering. Yes, death is a natural part of life's cycle. So, let me ask you this, Betty Boo. How many people have died in front of you? Before you tell people that killing someone is a viable option, go out and find a place where you can go watch someone die. That is, if you can do so in your privileged neighborhood. You know who can go out and watch people die on any given single day? People in Chicago. I dropped off Toon Critic after watching Suicide Squad in the middle of the night. I did not hang around. Number 3. Now, while the police and the military are trained to deal with death, some of them have mental issues after taking a life. If someone handed Lily Pete a high-powered rifle with a perfect headshot on Donald Trump, I would bet you dollars to donuts she would hesitate whether she would take said headshot or not. That hesitation is the inherent knowledge that what you're about to do isn't a bell you can unring. Kids, if you want a tiny sample of what Aunt Lily is talking about, go out, step on a bug. Any bug. That bug is not coming back. It's gone. Now, I'm not saying that you have to feel bad about said bug, but imagine if that were a pet dog, a human being, something that could talk, walk, dream, create, contribute, that could cry out, that could beg for its life. If you feel uncomfortable after hearing that, you're supposed to. So taking a life is a viable option? Well, of course it is. But it's not something I would tell your average Tom, Dick, and Harry that they have the common sense to play Judge Dredd with other people's lives. Dear Lily, as a matter of law, I cannot advise you if the advice you levied would be criminally negligent, but a talented enough lawyer might pull you off to court if someone saw this video and acted on your fast and loose perception of life. I'm not saying that they would get a conviction, or that they even should, but again, wiser people like say from Chicago, just might not want to bother with that headache. And here's an idea, maybe you should tell your fans when their friends or people are fucking with them, sometimes it is their fault. For example, we're going to talk about AJ the autistic pony on his behavior on other people's channels. No one is seeking him out. No one wishes to be around the guy. There are fans who assume people not wanting to be around them is bullying. Now, if I didn't know better, and believe me, I do know better, if someone unfriended you abruptly, you do understand that that's not bullying. It is a massive dick move, but from what it sounds like, is that why you want to whip Josh's ass? Again, I do know better, and we'll get to that later in the video. Have a nice day. Dear Josh and Fallen Wish. Now I bring up these names because if anyone's paying attention, you're gonna notice a potential hypocrisy in what I'm doing. This is a post from Fallen Wish. Let's get someone to read this off, shall we?
My last response to Bliss, since she so graciously blocked me, you wouldn't understand anything. All I did to you was snap that one time, but you've judged me based on the words of others, what other people tell you, but you never asked for my side at all. You're going off on a tangent. I'm speaking of my interactions with you, not anybody else. You're terribly ill-informed if you believe all that about me. But thing is, Blissy, most people walked out without giving me a chance to explain or apologize, and despite everyone else hating my guts but pleasantly moved on with their lives, I've sat here, applied, suffered every day. Me too, to be honest. I couldn't move on. I had no closure, only regret for mistakes I made and bitterness over what I had been accused of and had never done. And the pain of having never been given the chance to explain myself or apologize. I've no intention of hurting anyone else, but I damn well explain, and I'm moving on. At least I cared that I hurt you or anybody else. Nobody who ever accused me of BS or hurt me gave a shit. Everyone moved on. Everyone did forget. But forgiveness is a lie. This is the Brony community. What happened to... What happened to love and tolerate? I made one mistake with you, and I'm not worthy enough to deserve a second chance from any of you because of lies you believed, or because some of you enjoy hurting those below you. Not you, I'm particular, but some of your friends. Or because you're so caught up in what everyone else says, you're blinded to what others think or feel. Don't you dare speak on anything unless it happened between us. You never asked me, so what right do you ever have to judge me on any of that? It's rubbish. It's mean. Maybe you need to step back and look at what's been said, what's been done, and the interactions WW actually did have, at least before that incident. All of this stuff that's gone on has made me realize that nobody is who they seem. A lot of people are mean and only out for their own gain. They don't care who they step on to get there. And I've realized that a lot of you never cared in the first place. I was just someone to alleviate boredom and the owner AA way when my use had been expired. Does Fallen Wish speak English? I know I've made mistakes, and I've admitted to them. But at least I've admitted to them. I don't see many others who do that.
Now, when someone doesn't want anything to do with you, Fallen, Honey, Bae, Booby, it's probably for the best that you pack up and go home. Now keep in mind, lightning hasn't blocked me, and I'm far from a saint, and far be it from me to assume what Bliss thinks, but maybe, just maybe, you fucked up big time. Now on to Josh Scorcher. If you're watching this now, and now that I've spotlighted Lightning Bliss, it's highly possible I should follow my own advice. That continuing to pursue this comes off as salty and poor form. Now a while back I had a broad discussion between myself and the Brony Notion. What separates the Brony Notion from, say, Josh Scorcher, besides Notion being the cure for insomnia, Notion, when the chips are down, used very frank and straightforward language. I got the message. And that was that. He didn't hide behind his fans. He didn't hide behind his friends. The Brony Notion, despite sounding like a 12-year-old prepubescent boy, acted like a man, Josh. More of a man than, say, an ex-Marine. Now, I will admit this is horribly petty and unnecessary. If you like Josh Scorcher and if you're thinking about downvoting this video is going to scare me, oh boy, you haven't seen the 3 videos I did on the Internet Aristocrat. This is going to be unpleasant. It's also going to be true. I regretfully did not record this call I'm about to talk about. I was asked into a call by Mr. Scorcher, and I brought Kichi FIM along. Here's this screenshot of said call so you don't think I'm making this shit up. This happened 1 week after my response to Josh's response that fell on How Not to Brony 17, where Josh addressed Lily Peet. Sorry, that was a really unruly sentence. Josh Scorcher stated he talked to an actual FBI profiler about Lily Peet, presumably for fear of said person. Please forgive my presumption, Josh. People tend not to talk to the FBI unless they're in a lot of trouble. I did not believe that horseshit for a second. I didn't believe it then, and I sure as fuck don't believe it now. A bona fide U.S. Marine with military training was scared of a Canadian femboy from Tumblr. Guile here is afraid of Bridget. I have no doubt that, Josh, that you feel the same way about me. I have no doubt that you feel your back is against the wall and you'll be looking to the Doritos Pope from 8chan to help you, because you likely perceive me as dangerous. It couldn't be that you, at every corner and every turn, you've been an unlikable, insincere beta male. Now, to be perfectly clear, you don't have to talk to me, Josh. That's not what this is about. Josh said he wouldn't go on my show because, and I quote, he said he felt like he'd lose face in front of his friends. Now, Josh, I deal with a lot of delicate snowflakes in the fandom, and you tried to impose that I was in a way blackmailing you, that unless you did this, I'd keep doing videos on you. So let me clear that up for you. You fuck up a lot. I have friends who fuck up a lot, and by virtue of them being my friends, unless it's a major issue, I tend to let some shit slide. I have no such obligations with you. Ryan, Reno Mills, and myself could literally be at each other's throats every week. Well, screw that every day. But we're boys, and that doesn't happen. People like Ryan routinely go missing for months at a time. So it's not as if I need a constant friendship hug from the man to maintain our friendship. When you brought up the fact that a lot of people you know like FNGR and believe that I'm not all that bad, it's because I'm not. And I do think that you're a Marine. I also think that you're a groveling, sniveling, yellow belly weasel. You're exactly the guy who couldn't plainly tell Lily Peet to fuck off, which is why you're in this situation. Which is exactly what the situation called for. I can clearly see now why Tommy Oliver had zero interest in talking to you, even when he was in financial ruin and in a tight spot, that no amount of money would change that, because you were so odious and disgusting. Now again, if you're in the audience and you feel that I'm being unfair, I'm asking Josh Scorcher to be a man. One as much of a man as, say, the Brony notion. Can a US Marine be as manly as a Brony musician? Well, not in this case. Josh's head is so far up his ass that after an hour and a half, I had to hang up on him because myself and Kichi wanted to get the fuck away from the guy, and he was literally in the middle of saying, I can read people, I can tell when there's something up, and he couldn't tell we were done talking to him for that day. Now, I know why Josh unfriended me recently. Hell, I counted on it. 2 days in a row, we had 2 big blowout calls in limbo. We taped both of them because they're amazing, and the first one is up here, and the second one is featuring Keyframe, A&Y, Toon Critic, Brony Buck, Irish John, Quillstroke, The Mountie, Finn the Pony, Samot Lion, Death Alchemist, Dulcet Tone, Solar Flare, he's a Marine like you, Josh, and even Event Horizon. I screenshotted the call and said that you should come hang out. It would have been a neat PR move to come mingle with the fans and content creators at this most festive time of year. And my dear ponies, is when Josh unfriended me and gave me that speech from above. The real reason he said no is because it would make him feel like I won. You mean bringing people together and hanging out. Now, alternatively, in the Brony Notions case, he said, you and your people don't respect me. You're a conniving, manipulative human being. And I am. And we don't. Well, except for Event Horizon, he's boys with the Brony Notion. But to each his own. I'm cool with that. I mean, we traded barbs back and forth. And sometime at the end of the day, Mr. Scorcher, having it out and moving it on is part of being an adult. So you can keep that Marine title. I just don't think you're a man. Merry Christmas, Josh, and have a happy new year. And now a word from our sponsor.
Dear AJ the Autistic Pony, hi there. It's Editor, your former friend. And I'm saying formal because by now you should know what you've done. So let's go over what you've been doing this past few weeks, shall we?
I'm a pirate!
You have been constantly messaging my friends, asking them pleading them to be allowed back in my good graces. And for that, you decide to harass my friends such as Pee-wee Dragon, Eagletail, and Rosie Sievers. I mean, Rosie Sievers! You really don't have a brain if you're going to be doing stuff to her. Let's think back to what happened, shall we? When I first broke up with Jessica Pedley, you took it upon yourself to be a complete idiot, as you normally always are. How, you ask? You advertised yourself in using my misery as a baseline. I know this because I've got the comment still on my DeviantArt. For those of you who don't know, it went something like this. Oh, I'm very sorry about your breakup. Here's a link to one of my videos that's closely linked to the situation that you're going through. So, if you honestly think that when you're advertising yourself using my misery to make yourself better known in this fandom, do you honestly think that I am even going to consider being friends with you after this? And I know on a personal note, you have made it upon yourself to make a schedule to try and send messages to me asking for my apology. I know that because I've got a message right here that proves my theory right. And what's your excuse for all this bullshit? You have autism. I am sick to death of hearing this excuse, okay? You cannot use your disability as an excuse for the shit you do. I have a disability myself that I don't use as an excuse. If I were to go on someone's channel and leave a hateful comment, which I wouldn't, but just an example, and then afterwards when I sent it, I would be getting hate mail from other people, and comments, and even the person that I sent it to, I would not blame my dyslexia for what I wrote. Okay? You understand what I'm saying here? My nephews have autism. My friends have autism. My girlfriend has autism. Do they do the shit that you do?
No! I agree with Drago.
You make your own decisions, and your decisions have got you where you are now, and there is no coming back from that. So, to summarise, you are becoming a pain in my ass, and I am sick to death of trying to deal with this over and over again, except the fact that I don't want to talk to you again, alright? Leave me and my friends alone. We don't want to talk to you.
So this is going to be two parts. First the discussion, then a word with MIsanthro. This is from his Confession series, Chapter 6. For those of you watching, I'm going to be pulling some serious punches. Not because I have to, I don't. There's something holding me back other than my own personal preference. I'm not going to be making a habit out of this.
I just found out what the word for it is. It's called a broken base. A broken base is where there are two sides to a fandom based on the source material that created it. There's the side that still loves it and is loyal to it, and there's the side that now hates what it's become. And I think the first instance of this was when I saw some DeviantArt post stating that they need to turn Twilight back into a unicorn.
Okay, Map, I'm going to assume you know Star Wars. It's a prolific series for one reason or another. Some great, some not so much. Being hung up on what's amazing and what isn't the point. So here's a clip from Razor Fist.
So the latest headline from J. Jonah Abramson is a little ditty by the name of Star Wars The Force Awakens. Anyone who knows me even a little bit knows I love the shit out of some Star Wars, and yes, that also means the prequels.
I used to watch a serial on television called Adventure Theater, and they had Flash Gordon Conquers the Universe on it, and I used to love that. So I went off and wrote my own space opera.
Have you ever seen Flash Gordon? It's the biggest wheel of Wisconsin Longhorn dick cheese you'll ever dislocate your mandible taking a bite out of. Star Wars movies, and yes, that includes the originals, by the way, are artery-clogging, fondue-caliber cottage cheese of the highest possible order. With the latter, and that's no slight coming from me. Revenge of the Sith, to my eyes, is not only the best of the prequel films, it's flawed as fuck, but fun. And make no mistake, all the Star Wars films are deeply flawed. The opening kills, the conclusion is classic, but that middle act sags like a pair of Ethiopian tits.
At the end of the day, sci-fi is goofy bullshit. I say that from a place of love. Comic books are goofy bullshit. Is there any doubt in the world they're not a good source of art or media at this point? The point here isn't to say Star Wars or comic books are great, possibly terrible at the same time. That is provided to an exhaustive length all over the internet. Be that source be Movie Bob, Razor Fist, Doug Walker, etc., etc. If Star Wars, Star Trek, or Indiana Jones, Doctor Who, DBZ, almost every video game franchise has their dissenters, why is there such a disconnect with MLP?
Season 3, a lot of people just felt mixed about, and it was around the time when people were getting really, really antsy about the Equestria Girls release because they just thought it was part of a big sellout. But what really started for me was when people started talking about Season 4.
I'd say Season 3 is hands down the worst season. But again, what I'm saying here is, I thought...
The day after the season premiere had aired, and I was looking through DeviantArt to see reviews of the episode, and that's when I came across someone who gave the episode a C-.
You do understand a C- is passing. I want you to go back and look through Roger Ebert's reviews for horror movies. A C- on average was the fingertip of God. I loved the damn premiere. If you didn't wish to be engaged in a discussion, there were tons of other people to parrot back at you. It's perfect. As estranged as I am from Silver Quill, his video on the premiere still holds the test of time.
Okay, Season 4 is off and running. Let's see if they managed to address some of the points I brought up in my princess debate video, starting with Twilight being a princess.
And I already feel like I'm missing something.
Oh, well, there's still the stereotype that every little girl wants to be a princess.
I don't know if it's every pony's dream.
Huh, how about Twilight the Alicorn? Elder Princess
But I hope you know that I will always be here if you need me.
Civilian Pony.
Princess Twilight will know!
The main 5.
The Summer Sun celebration may have brought us together, but it's something much bigger that'll always keep us connected.
How far into the episode did I get? For real?
I could spend all day filling up this video with positive feedback to the premiere. You sought out a critical view, meaning you went with a chip on your shoulder with the line of thought, you better like this or else. That is not how you brony.
And the worst part about this is that everybody who was hating on the Equestria games didn't care for the explanations that were coming from the people who were defending the episode. The broken base situation was at least questionable before, but this was when it was just becoming incredibly ridiculous.
You spent so much of this video with zero hands-on examples and dealt in wide-sweeping generalizations, so much so that at one point, if I slapped a British accent on you, I would have to start calling you Jeff. Like, your point about the equestrian games was tantamount to how dare you dislike something I like. If Scorcher chose to like this episode in spite of its flaws, that's fine, even commendable. Yes, some of the contemporaries' brand of Kool-Aid was starting to taste bitter, and Josh's brand had a bit more sugar to make that shit go down easier. Personally, Equestria Games is like episode 100, depending on the day, D plus C minus. If you had exact examples of what was upsetting you, and showing how you can deal with different opinions now versus then, dear God, this could have been an amazing video. You do realize the irony about bitching about not getting exactly what you want? A positive message doesn't equal a correct one. Unlike you, until you can be more on point, I'm pawing at smoke and mirrors. Dear MIsanthro Pony, it's 6:30 in the morning, Saturday. I'm at work watching Chapter 7 Confessions. I'm drinking a cherry and Coke Slurpee. Before now, I was listening to 3 of King George's songs from Hamilton. Excuse me while I pause to curse Secret Dreamer and Quillstroke. Fuck you. I don't like musicals and I have those damn songs stuck in my head. So Map, I do believe I owe you and the fandom an apology, because the person who fucked up here was me. Not entirely. When we're done here, I'm going to attempt to try and point you in the right direction. I was puzzled when Lily Pete alluded to you and your confession series.
Long and angry rant about the same subject, talking about how the fandom is often fighting and arguing with each other and broken bases and whatnot. Now, I'm not disparaging MIsanthro Pony here. I think he can be very insightful, and I do respect that he gives a shit. He has a passion for his work that I haven't really seen among anybody else, and it's why I gave him a spotlight on good stuff. He has that drive to do better and be better that a lot of analysts say they have, but unlike a lot of analysts, he actually makes good on that and proceeds to do better. Which is why I think MIsanthropony is the only one who might actually listen when I say he's part of the problem.
Being brutally honest, a dark, pitch black background with minimal changes of images, with the content creator beating themselves up for what presumably was the same thing over and over again. You know what? There has to be a better way to explain this to bronies. You're Princess Luna. I'm Twilight Sparkle in this situation. Be happy you get to be best princess. Remember the pilot episode where they zapped Nightmare Moon so Twilight could spend the rest of the show having friendship lessons and adventures? I came at you from every angle I could think of to fix the problem that was causing discord among my peers. I bullied, I bribed, oh yes, my little ponies, I even tried to reason with MIsanthropony. By the time he got to the DigiBro video, I was just done. It's not that I haven't watched MIsanthropony's videos since then. I've seen his reviews, and breaking those down is still for another time. I could swear I've said that before. The reason why I'm saying Map is the Luna here, that everyone just assumed was okay. Remember when Luna got zapped? Well, she, or rather he, isn't illuminating unholy fire anymore, nor is he in eternal darkness. And like Luna Eclipsed, we tossed Luna here in with a couple of bronies, so he could hang out with the cool kids and not eat one of us. Anyone remember Manga Comment's first Halloween special? Tyandega, a level 5 cinnamon roll, is in a video with MIsanthropony. What could, and I'd argue should have been, a massive scandal. No one cared. Till this day, that is the coolest thing on Manga Comment's channel. To me, for that reason. Here is a song collab with Secret Dreamer and MIsanthropony singing romantically to one another. Now this is a goof. Calm down everyone and cool your ships. Here's Map in a video making fun of his Disney fixation on Buck to the Face. So when you would tell me, or my peers, go out and look at your Confessions series, personally, I had the same issue I had with old Doug Walker. I still remember all that crap. I was there. More so I thought. And I and British Ninja had the same knee-jerk reaction that Midnight Chimes had. Well, clearly it has to be marketing. We've been rused that the smartest kid in the playground banked on being forgiven and he fell upstairs. Now, one of the reasons why that's not the case, if this was a clever ploy, a ruse if you will, is a mastermind would have stopped by now. After making your admittance into the rift, I went off to go have my own damn friendship adventures and misadventures. Now...
So, now you know how I really felt about the fandom at this time. I hated it. Like, I really hated it. I hated it so much for all of the discord that it was causing within itself, and because of all the problems and all the stress that it was causing for other people and myself. I just felt so distant from it after hearing about those death threats. I still remember it like it was yesterday when I actually snapped out loud.
Fun fact, class. Perhaps the most fun fact of all, and I invite you to click in the video section of my YouTube videos. My channel was mostly drama-free MIsanthropony. Oh sure, I had my Real Thoughts series on the Rift. That was mostly sanitized. I poked 5 people out of 100, and only one of those cared. That one being Minty Root. Before that, the worst thing I did was give people a venue for people to share their thoughts. Oh, buddy boy, that was just leaving an arms dealer in front of a warehouse filled to the brim with Kalashnikovs. Now, Lily Pete might state the narrative I might have got started because I talked to her, because I reached out to Lily, Josh Scorcher, and John Enter because of the strife in the fandom. Now, that strife didn't begin with you, but you gave it a focal point. And without that focal point, I might as well have been screaming into the ocean not to be wet. There would be no How Not to Brony if it weren't for MIsanthropony. Not that I was squeaky clean, but this is all where all the magic happened.
When I really thought about how serious all this bullshit was, I just started aimlessly yelling out in my yard. I just can't believe I fooled myself into thinking that bronies were special. I mean, you've heard those stories about this person who wants to be part of this really great community they've been hearing so much about, and then it turns out everyone in it is a self-entitled jerk, but man, this one really takes the cake. It's like when you're a 3-year-old waiting to open your Christmas presents and then all you get is a pair of socks.
Because complaining about entitlement while being entitled produces authority. MIsanthro Pony, there's a movie called W. There's a scene where a televangelist is talking to George W. Bush, a born-again Christian, and in this scene, George talks about how praying doesn't feel like it's enough to fulfill, or something along those lines. To which the televangelist tells George, a preacher says, it's not supposed to be a cure-all. Now keep in mind, this is a movie, but the point here is still valid. I myself believe in God, but I can concede all the answers in the world cannot be found in one book, or conceivably a series of books, or in this case one show. To have this perception would be folly. Life, for better or for worse, is a series of experiences that come from a series of first-hand knowledge moments that you can choose to pass on to friends and family, to which they have to decide to take or disregard because free will is a son of a bitch, while we live on this floating ball of dirt swirling through the cosmos. There are people like Movie Bob who can think of Ghostbusters and feel a great sense of joy and go on about how it's a potentially superhero movie for atheists to destroy superstition. And no matter how personally offensive or butthurt as that might make me, a lot of time and thought went into that piece, and sometimes when someone has unpleasant and uncomfortable thoughts, it behooves you to listen and to see if there's anything to take away from that. Now, whether I did or not in that case is for another day, however. Take your complaint on Digi's thoughts on Leap of Faith. You disregarded his message in the video. Now, we're gonna come back to this, because this is the part of my thesis statement, my point of this video, that if you really listened, there likely wouldn't be an issue right now. Let me show you something. Now again, this is a fictional story from a bleak world of Warhammer 41k.
We can't all be 100% evil all the time, can we?
Of course not. Something which people seem to forget, including the gods themselves, is that they represent all thoughts and emotions, the good, the bad, and the ugly. For example, Tzeentch may be a cruel and devious trickster, but he's also a force of progress and a beacon of hope. Change, after all, is neither innately benevolent or malevolent, but it sure as shitling isn't the same as it was before.
This sounds like propaganda.
Well, you know it is true. Without Tzeentch there would be no malicious schemes, but there would also be no one clever enough to save people from those schemes. Nothing would ever get done, and we would fall into an eternal stasis of static karma. And that is what Nurgle represents. Stagnancy, a lack of change, inevitable eternal cycles of decay and renewal. But he also represents the resilience, resolve, and solidarity to face those same unsettling inevitabilities.
In short, if everything is shit, why worry about it? That is why his followers are so disturbingly, insufferably cheerful even when most of their entrails are on the wrong side of their ribcage.
Without Nurgle, there would be no consistency, safety, or comfort in living and dying. In fact, there would be no consistency at all. All those cycles of decay and renewal are just the circle of life. In fact, Nurgle is technically nature incarnate. Well, Khorne may be a force of merciless, mindless slaughter and hatred, but that's because he prescribes to another natural concept, survival of the fittest. Strength and skill are all that matters to him. He also represents justice, vengeance, and honor, so unlike the others, Khorne would never try to trick you and stab you in the back.
He will just stab you in the face, over and over again, until your face stops resembling a face.
Without him, there would be no honesty, no strength to fight against injustice. And speaking of injustice, Slaanesh may be a horrifying, cruel, torturous fiend that breaks minds and inflicts untold suffering, but it also exudes just as much joy, freedom, and expression and happiness.
Because hello, someone has gotta be enjoying your pain and agony after all.
It's ironic, yet it makes sense. Slaanesh is formed from the extremes of emotional experience, representing both.
The message, my dear ponies, is still valid. Nothing is entirely good or bad. Before getting distracted and thinking really hard on something really bad, let's say the things we're talking about today aren't entirely good or bad.
They didn't even need any blind haters or anti-bronies giving them a bad name, because they were doing that to themselves. And I just hated the whole damn thing. I hated it so much. And yet, I still really loved the show. I wanted to keep watching it despite the horrible people that it was representing. So, what do you call a person when they really like to watch My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, but really don't like the fandom? I don't think you can call them a brony, and that's when it hit me. I'm already kind of detached from a lot of human nature because of all the bad stuff in it. So I felt the same way about the Brony fandom too. So I decided to call myself MIsanthro Pony. It's the name that I was going with when I was starting out my channel, and it's the name that I was going with when I put together that first video and was announcing that I was going to do some rant videos. Rants on people who were coming across to me as very, very problematic. It was something that I just thought needed to be done.
It's really hard not to bust out a narrative here. You did pick a side. You made a pantheon of heroes and villains. The message you brought out wasn't entirely yours, at least in the public eye. The thing I need to remind myself more than anyone else is, Map is not the reason why Tom and Digi are gone. If there was ever a scapegoat who fell into that role ass first, albeit, I wonder how things would have gone for Map had this happened at the end of Season 4. Again, that's speculation for another video.
All that time I spent looking through all those comments, all those people giving the show a bad name for no good reason, and I didn't see anyone doing anything about it.
I saw what you did there. If I could borrow a line from Half-Boiled Hero from the commentary community, where he addresses the mysterious Mr. Enter.
It's your fault for not doing jack shit to stop it.
What the f*** are you expecting us to do, you goddamn asshole? I don't exactly have a magic wand that will take away someone's free will. I break it down for f*** you.
Had to speak up for the show and against the people who were giving it a bad rep, and it looked like it had to be me. I knew it had to be me. Something just told me that it needed to be me. No, it didn't just need to be me. I knew I was the only one who could.
Just imagine the damage you would have done mid-Season 4. Back then, I had no authority, my audio was total shit, and my head was still up Sheldon's ass. Meaning, when I would have suggested doing something about you, Sheldon would have said no, and Corpulent would have said, "Yeah, me too, boss!" And I don't think anything would have stopped you. I likely would have gone on to become a loon like past analysis and got consumed by something I couldn't address.
Knew that I was the only one who could when I was hearing about so many people who came across my plans and they were actually supportive of what I was planning to do. Like the only sane people who were left in this fandom, looking for someone to give them a voice when they were unable to make one themselves. Someone who could speak for them. Someone who could elaborate how they felt about the situation. They were looking to me, hoping that I would be able to properly set things straight.
I'm pretty fucking sure we talked back then. I said nothing of the sort. I mean at the trailer, right at the break of this bullshit. You remember the one, right? MIsanthro Pony is coming. I mean, I got accused of cherry picking, but oh boy, the narrative for your fans must have tasted of cherry pie and rainbows. I'm really trying not to be dismissive, and there is a point behind all this. I'm gonna bump ahead here, just a bit due to redundancy.
Is there any reason to stop now? Even when I started getting comments from people who hated what I was doing, I never stopped feeling that way. And even when I was starting to get noticed by people in the Bronalysis community, no matter who it was, I wasn't going to let them hold me back. I wasn't going to let them drag me down. I was going to keep voicing how I felt about these people, and nothing they did was going to change my mind. I set out to do this knowing that people were going to hate me, but I wasn't going to let that slow me down. I wasn't going to care for what any of these people thought of me. I was going to keep on going, and I was going to keep on going until I got to everyone and let them know how I thought about things.
Now, that's an interesting point, everyone. One could argue you were going to go beyond your first batch of targets. This is a very strange narrative that there's so much more interpretation that I'm just going to have to jump right to the payoff. Reviewing what we know, the lesson here, class, is how much baggage can you really reasonably bring into the fandom with you? Now, feel free to make a joke about Mexicans and gardening, but I had to weed out a lot of people to make the analysis community, or rather the Seagrift, into a big, blossoming, veritable Garden of Eden, because doing nothing would have given me a shithole like the PFC or the Looney Turtles Rift Cafe. So you're being totally serious and committed. I believed you, Map. But to quote Digi, not my show, not my problem. This is your 7th video, and your big message is droning on about how you used to be an insufferable ass. What you have created is Walt Whitman's never-ending self-blowjob known as The Song of Myself. I encourage you to go look up that poem. You'll see what I'm talking about. Now, I understand that the poem is a bit deeper than just merely being a pretentious twat going on, but on the other hand, I shouldn't have to spend the amount of time to do that amount of digging because doing so, I feel, wouldn't benefit me. And Map, I do respect that you have issues. I, however, am not a doctor. I am physically incapable of dragging you off kicking and screaming. If you have friends and family watching this, I might suggest that they consider this course of action. Here it is again, that you have fixated on things to a detriment to your character to such an extent is a mental illness, and I am not trying to make light of it. My good friend Anon, as well as Digibro, gets medication to deal with various bouts of depression. I personally cannot prescribe to you what you likely need. If this is an act, then you have suckered me and everyone else, and you can ignore this message. However, if you are being sincere, medical care does seem like a good idea that this has gone on forever, well over a year.
For matter, I think people actually thinking about what I had to say was helping to relieve that stress. So, not only were these angry videos helping me in speaking out for the situation with this fandom, I actually think it was helping me. It was helping me feel less frustrated, less keeping it all bottled up inside, less hate-filled. Like, after I released that video about Mage, I didn't have so much against her anymore. In fact, that's kind of why I made that additional thoughts video on her. So, I guess maybe this was something that was necessary.
No one has vastly profited from this fiasco more than I have. But with that in mind, bullshit! I imagine Lily sitting there watching you, saying in a perfect world, or hell, even a reasonable world, people wouldn't need dipshits like FNGR to speak up for them against people like KP or MIsanthro Pony. And don't get me wrong, it does give me a sick pleasure to agree with that. But if Goldie would have reared back and slapped the dog piss out of you, and Keyframe, you might have just not knuckled down and acted like a bigger douche. I bring up the old drama because it's nostalgic and fun to recall a bit of mischief. When you do it, you act as if it's fucking eating you alive.
Maybe by doing this, I would be speaking for other people who felt the same way as me on the situation, and I would be helping myself to not be so angry and hate-filled towards others. Because I don't want to be angry and hate-filled. I don't want to be constantly reminded of the bad stuff in this fandom because there is good in it.
Remember when I kept saying, had this all happened earlier, if no one was there to stop you, and let's be honest, I think ANY would have tapped you on the shoulder, not much else. You would have kept going because there were people who liked what you did. You would have kept going and you would have gotten to 10k subs by now. And I don't know what the analysis committee would look like by now. A nice little echo chamber to rage douche on everyone who makes you feel unhappy. Who would have stopped you? Horse News? Fuck, they likely would have cheered you on. EQD? Sophisto hates the analysis community more than Horse News. If he wasn't so anti-drama, your rant series would have gotten features. Your narrative only makes sense if you know what you're gonna do since day one, which would imply a vast lack of insincerity. From one cold, calculated son of a bitch to another, that makes me raise an eye. Now, some of you guys in the comments right now have said no one makes you watch these. Mabs brought up these videos quite a bit and has strongly hinted when we act oblivious that he seems deeply hurt that we aren't angry with him. So I've definitely gotten the nudge to take a peek. So one more time, do not wait around for a moment with Dr. Wolf. Go see a real doctor. Thank you.
Alright. I know this isn't the podcast, but oh my god, this sound clip is going to make for a great promotional video. This is FNGR welcoming you all to Limbo. Joined by Drake Vagabond, Josh Scorcher's #1 editor, Quillstroke, my current girlfriend, Pastel Pros, the Hispanic Panic, and Secret Dreamer, the ringleader of the Secret Rift. But not to be outdone by this most special and festive guest that warms me to my very soul. Anon KP Links, otherwise aka simply Boggsy? Yeah? Is that it, sir?
Yep, that's it.
We'll be talking to him, presumably, hopefully, sometime this week. Mindless Gonzo has expressed an interest in talking to this gentleman, as well as Event Horizon. We don't know who the third is, and I'm probably going to attach this as a little promotion at the beginning of How Not to Brony. We will tend to be civil, and I'm hoping he gets a good shake. But I've heard just recently that no account, no good, disgusting, deplorable PFC member, Faith Moliminous, is going to attack this poor, sweet, innocent cinnamon roll. Well, not over my dead body, he's not. We'll be seeing you all soon.